I'll have a very good conversation with him. What I say to him is none of your business.
Now, to discuss all of this, let's bring in Hal Kempfer, a retired Marine Corps intelligence officer and the president of KIP, a strategic risk management firm, and Ed Batowski, managing partner at Chapwood Investments. Welcome to you both. Hal, I'll start with you. It's apparently none of my business, nor it is your business, but what do you expect President Trump to tell President Vladimir Putin? Stay away from our elections?
I think they'll be part of the discussion. I wouldn't be surprised if that comes up. They'll probably have a very frank discussion about Iran and the Persian Gulf as well. There is this kind of entree, if you will. Would Iran possibly come into Russia's orbit or use Russia as a counterweight to the United States? There isn't a lot strategically in it for Russia for doing that, although one could make an argument that having more allies in that region is a better thing, and of course with the Shiite connection with its ally Syria, but still, I think that'll be a big discussion item.
Ed, listen, there are three major issues, at least, that are going to be coming up during the G20 summit this time. There is going to be Iran, there's going to be the trade war with China, and then there is going to be the situation about denuclearization, perhaps getting talks started with North Korea again. Has there been a G20 in recent memory where there's so much at stake for the U.S.?
I don't recall. I mean, normally you show up and you pretty much know what the agenda is going to be. We know what the agenda is going to be, but not really. I mean, I love how he with the things that he says, it's no one's business. Like he goes after India. And you know what's funny about this? It's like the United States has played rope-a-dope for 20 years, maybe 30 years. We've sat back and let every country take advantage of us financially. So we might not like the way the president goes about his business, but we like what he's doing. He's fighting back and he's doing it for the people in this country. So, I don't really appreciate how he does things, but I do appreciate that we're trying to make things a little more normal on the trade side. So, yes, we're going to have Iran. That's going to be a big discussion, and it is a big discussion. And it's not just, from a military standpoint, it has a lot to do with the economics. We obviously have the economic, trade war going, if we want to call it that, or discussions with China. That is imperative. But there's going to be some other, things coming out of here, just like we just saw with India, probably a couple other countries that he's going to be taking jabs at real soon.
And I want to zoom in on the China talks for a second. What could come out of a one-on-one meeting, as we're expected to see Friday, between President Trump and President Xi Jinping? Is it much more effective than delegations speaking?
Well, the delegations have been speaking. I mean, that's what's been going on. And then when the two leaders get together, they think that this is the first time the discussions have taken place. They pretty much have things laid out right now. They're going to have some additional conversations about some of the finer points. But in order for this thing to get signed, they have to meet. Do I expect a lot to come from it? I think I'm out in left field on this one because I don't believe this is a big deal. I don't think a lot is going to happen. I don't think a lot's going to happen economically throughout the world. The world economy is such a big engine, and it's so slow that no matter what happens at this G20, we're not going to all of a sudden get a kickstart in the world economy. We are in rigor mortis around the world. The United States is starting to feel it right now.
All right, let's bring Hal back into the conversation here. Hal, you have Iran's foreign minister who is saying clearly that the U.S. and Iran are already at war. And that statement in mind, with the president going there, he's going to be having talks with European leaders, with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Putin and Russia have been very clear here that they've been taking Iran's side, both with the position of where the drone is and saying that these sanctions on Iran are illegal. So what do you expect to come out of these talks with Putin?
I think it's going to be some very tough talk with Putin. I think he's going to basically make it very clear our position. I don't see any conciliatory language in there. When Russia says things like, well, we agree with Iran that your drone was over their territory, Russia has a pretty long history of misstating things in terms of where reconnaissance aircraft are and stuff like that. So I don't put a lot of stock in that. I don't think President Trump will put a lot of stock in that either. He has the intelligence. One thing I would mention, though, which is kind of interesting, is taking a jab at India. That's an interesting discussion that hits the whole Indian region. And I'm kind of wondering what, beyond the tariffs, what was behind that.
Ed, let's pass this question to you. The strategy on India, you saw the tweet, and usually this is how it starts. Trump issues a tweet. He makes a threat. Then you have escalatory rhetoric. Then we see tariffs. And then the White House somehow declares victory. Is that where it's going?
That's the only place it could possibly be going. I mean, we don't really have problems with India. I think the tariffs have to do with apples. I mean, I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but at this point, but it will escalate. Then somehow we'll come to a resolution, and the United States will end up becoming better in terms of trade than they were before. I mean, to shake this up, it's not a pleasant thing. But why he did it against India, I'm sure there's other countries right now just waiting because they have been taking advantage of us because we've allowed them to do that. And he has to get in there and fight and change things. Where is it going to end up with India? I don't know, but apparently we're going to be able to sell a lot more apples in India real soon. I think that's where it's going.
Oh, all right. Hal Kempfer and Ed Batowski, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your time. And